to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? れた流れ星ほら命が燃える何かに怯え走り続けたその虚しさの指示何を見て何を探してきた自分の声がただ響く幾千万の星の中で惹かれて出会った守り手たちよ回る回る時の輪の中で自分の弱さ強さの先に同じ空誰かが見上げてそう信じて消されない虹の奇跡が届けと冷たい指で涙拭ったあの君がもう帰れない水平線目指して飛び立つ自分の願いを抱いて幾千万の星に呼ばれ交わりすれ違う守り手たちよ回る回る時に抗って未来を願ってもいいですか儚さから目をそらしたぐり寄せる道の兆しの向こうかける希望あなたの光あなたの命いたずらに知らさないようにそっとくれた記憶胸に熱く灯し約束の地へもう繰り返らずに恋願う歌は空高く世界に銀河に広がってくそれがいつか風となり消えて新たな日が始まる越えてゆく時の輪の中で確かに刻みつけたきらめき同じ空誰かが見上げてる信じたから消されない虹の奇跡残した涙よ星に瞬きを伝えて守るものがあるからきっと強くなれる語るべき言葉なくした星の守り手は時の果て夢の果て闇に立ちすくんだ風を呼んでみたんだ空に向けて誰かを呼んでみたんだ光求めたソリチュードかすかなレゾナンス確かに届くロマンスそんな流れ星たちを抱き留めた明日が見えなくだって乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Growing High 心のフォトンが銀河にこぼれて道を強く照らすファイ それの思い秘めた星の守り手は空からの呼ぶ声に導かれた重ねる手と手には言葉なんかより伝わることがある熱い心通じ合った確かなレゾナンス見つけるのはエッセンス目指した意識の先がディスティネーション答えが見えなくてくじけそうになって支え合い誓い合う絆でつなぐシャイニースマイル心のフォトンが銀河に溢れて道を開く鍵は My Starlight Heart明日が見えなくだって乗り越えなくちゃって奇跡の奇跡描き未来へつなぐ Growing Heart 心のフォトンが銀河に溢れて道が開いたら羽ばたいてゆこうよ乗り越えてゆこうよ星空と溶け合っていつまでも行ける Fly high まっすぐ願いを世界に歌って新しい夜も新しい朝もここからまた始めよう My heart shines endlessly 飛び立て
We are live and ready to go for the 4th week of Blue Otter Diamond League. Our matchup tonight is between Phantom Troupe, Hisoka, and Seneca Swarm. I'm Isaac. Alongside me tonight is Fel for this broadcast.
Hey, what's going on, man? How we doing tonight?
We are, personally, this little bit of tidbit, I had to rush home because I had my bike's rear tire pop on me, so I had to walk it all the way to a bike shop, get that fixed. And but either way, we made it for this one and ready to go for this matchup. As I've mentioned before, Phantom Troupe Hisoka up against Seneca Swarm, both sitting 0-2 on the year, both also 1-4 in terms of game scores. So for this one, Seneca Swarm also going to be having 2 E-subs getting in, but it will not be the side of Phantom Troupe Hisoka will not opt to rulebook them, so they will have access to all of their available bans for this one, but we will be seeing a different Seneca Swarm lineup for the game here tonight. We'll have to wait and see on who those are specifically, because I didn't quite necessarily get a heads up on who those are, so throws a few things out the window. But either way, going through bans, Viego Yumi, interestingly enough, going to be taken away, as well as the Aurelio and Mel Aphelios, and we're waiting on the final one from Seneca Swarm.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, you had said, both teams are unwinning. They're trying to gain a foothold, maybe get some positive momentum coming their way as the Shen comes out. That you mean must be like a target ban or something. I don't think I've seen that in a while. But yeah, we as you said, we do have PTH Hisoka or Phantom Troop Hisoka over on the blue side, so they will be blue winning here. As far as the season is concerned, not over yet. Both 0-2. I think I saw on the sheet that Hisoka might be 0-3 if I had read that correctly. But either way, both teams only have one game win and all other series losses. So, it's time for this is the time of the season where you're like, okay, we got to build on something. We have to get some momentum going. And Bessa is a blue one pick. Going to be aggressive. Going to be looking to create a strong side. And interestingly enough, they take the Cassante into it, so should be an interesting matchup up top.
Kind of a bit of a nullifying pick in that one. A very common matchup in the top lane, where even though sometimes I think I've seen Mbessa be slightly-ish maybe favored, it's not so extraordinary that it would be too much of concern. It's more of like a handshake sort of situation up there. But at least for Seneca Swarm, when I was talking to their team members for the Captain Sky before the season, she said that they are a college unit who have yet to play in any sort of competitive environment, but they do have a lot of like scrimming partners and a lot of just in-house like capabilities to be able to practice a lot and get used to a more organized sorts of play. And they're looking to hopefully start to scale throughout the season and improve as things go along. They also already had their bye week come through, so they will only be playing more, and well, ideally, we hope to start to see some of that scaling kind of soon, because even though it's not the danger point in or a must-win situation for them just yet. We are getting to that midpoint of the season where it's like if you're going to make a late push, it doesn't have to come now, but it's got to come soon. And now would be a good time to start. But just quickly going through the picks that have gone through, Silas, Galio, and Sivir are going to be picked up by PTH and Seneca Swarm.
Yeah, and it really looks like they're going to be trying to either do some really strong back dives with getting Ambessa into the back line. Ooh, and maybe a Zed would be nice. Yeah, I said it is
Hey,
going to be a
all
Zed.
right.
Now you have a double flex for the jungle in the mid there. I would assume the Zed would go into the mid up against the Galio, but never know. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be, just trying to create a nice tanky front line, maybe try to get into the backside of Seneca Swarm and, use the Sivir to sort of help push that once the fight engages. I always love having a go button and a comp that's really synergistic of itself. So I do like the early picks out of Hisoka. But nice counter picks out of Seneca. As you said, Cassante really good at just sort of nullifying anything that Ambessa really wants to do in lane, and can also kind of do the same thing that she can, where you can really just take somebody, get them outside of the rest of the fight and basically create a one-on-one where Ambessa just wants to basically use her team to help her, uh, energize their utility and get into the back line together, where Cassante just kind of wants to, maybe there's, Galio or Ambessa gets really far ahead and he just takes him out of the fight, and then it's a 4v4 with hopefully your team being on the side of the favored matchups there.
I could also, when you mentioned the Zed mid, I could see the angle, especially for assuming Galio's probably going mid, but we're kind of at a point where I'm not entirely like certain of that, because there's still the option for Galio to be flexed potentially down into the support role as well. It's not something we see very often these days, but it's certainly available. And honestly, these days I feel like I've seen Zed jungle generally just more often than I've seen Zed in the mid lane. And also, considering how short range Phantom Troop Hisoka are showing in their draft, there's, I mean, maybe like the Silas top flex Cassante mid even potentially, if we're getting a little bit spicy. No way, surely not. They're trolling. No, oh
Oh,
my god.
100% shot right through your heart, right there. Garen mid coming through.
What?
I love it. These guys are just going all forward on this comp. I mean, that could be Ambessa mid, Garen
Yeah,
mid. I mean, any three of these picks can go anywhere. And I do kind of like the synergy between Galio and Sivir on the bot
no,
side. But
no
it's going to be
shot.
Karma.
What? Is it
To the,
Investa jungle?
it might be
It's
Ambessa jungle.
it okay. I
I like the
mean,
spiciness. Hey, this is what we came to see, right? This is why you ran your bike over to the shop so that you
oh
could
yeah.
get this
Yeah, well,
spice level.
I'm glad things eventually worked out and I was able to get here for this one because the fan of Troupe Hisoka have surprised us really with their picks. I feel like the Melio was almost certainly going to be a response to the what would look to potentially be a Galio support, but
No, and now it's
pairing
going to
with the
be
Twitch is the
yeah.
final one.
And I absolutely love this pick from the side of Seneca Swarm. I think the Twitch into Sivir can really, really catch her off, and then the Melio with the extra burn and just the healing utility that he's going to give on the side of Hisoka. You do have the Karma to keep Sivir safe in lane. The shields are really, really hard to burn through, especially once she gets a couple levels under her belt and maybe some items. So this is going to be an interesting bot lane. I think it's going to be a lot of sort of waiting for the jungle pressure to kind of get this going. I think that if I'm on the side of Hisoka, though, I really, really want Sivir and Karma to just sort of poke and push the lane, and I want to concentrate all my attention on the mid and top. I want to get either Galio or Ambessa or Garen ahead, whichever one of these three ends up being the solo laners, because yeah, because I mean, if you were to look at my match history from 2 years ago, I had a stint of Garen jungle for a while, and
Okay.
everybody hated
Oh,
it, but I had a huge win rate, so screw it. Yeah, Garen jungle. But I mean, if that's it, I'd be almost as excited as when I casted last time and there was a Quinn top. So I'm excited to get into this. I really do like Hisoka just sort of going outside the normal realm, with the exception of their bot lane, like a triple flex. But that could end up hurting you if you have somebody that's really strong, like let's say Ana and Bessa, but they go to flex that mid instead of top. You make potentially putting it in the hands of somebody not as good. But it's going to be interesting once we see where these drafts end up on the side of Hisoka. Seneca, pretty standard, normal. I think there's only really one flex there, which would be the Zed and Silas. So depending on where that goes, Silas has a lot of agency in this game, a lot of really, really strong ults to steal, with the exception, I guess, of the Mantra. But I really do like Hisoka just coming out the gate with this kind of comp. I think it's 100% either going to just demolish this game or just fall flat on its face, and I love to see that.
well, we will have to wait and see how Phantom Troop Hisoka won to position their champions on the Rift, considering what they've gone. But we will have to take a short break for a spectator delay, and when we come back, we'll have what at least at this point promises to be at the very least interesting game one. So don't go anywhere. And we are ready to go for Seneca Swarm and Phantom Troupe Hisoka, or perhaps I should have said it the other way around, as those are the sides that they're on respectively. Before we get into that Krusty, could be a little bit of trouble. No, I'm just going to take a little bit of chunk of damage from Anhedonia, but and we were thinking about that. At least I was thinking maybe it was going to be the Zed jungle, as that's where he's been normally, but it's in fact it's the Zed mid with Ignite for Krusty into the Galio. So we got to feel that the mid lane is going to be somewhere that Seneca Swarm want to really focus on.
Yeah, and with the, I mean, we got to pause here. Yeah, I kind of figured it was Zed mid just because I've seen so much of Silas jungle lately, and I think that being able to roam around and grab a whole bunch of different ultimates instead of just having the Galio ult, which is good, especially on Silas. I just feel like Silas would work better in this because, you know, Galio with his passive, with how he wants to, how he wants to itemize and everything, the Zed just kind of forces him off. You know, we have seen some Galios end up going like full armor tank, you know, unfortunately, because the team just picks everything AD off of that. But yeah, I like the Zed into the Galio a lot better. I think that the amount of movement that he has and damage without having to commit to a play just kind of works out better there.
And also, and things to note with Krusty being on the Zed in the mid lane, this is the potential substitute rotation for Seneca Swarm, as they did have to bring in 2 substitutes for this one. Yayu in support, but Krusty is normally the jungler for Seneca Swarm instead of moving to mid lane, so it does also somewhat track that, considering how much more often Zed is a jungler than he is a mid laner, at least I'd say within the past 3 or so years. When was that last buff in which he like clears insanely in the jungle? It was like,
I think it's when
like
they
2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's when they first introduced the Pokemons to the jungle, and they wanted to open it up to everybody. And Zed First Strike was just, yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? We could. We're gonna pause. We could turn this into a therapy session. Like,
I don't think
where
I
did
afford the
where's
amount of money needed.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm not licensed, so it's completely okay. But
but I think that makes a lot of sense what you had said about him probably being extremely comfortable on that champion. You know, especially up, you know, in Diamond, you have to be not just really good at one champion, you have to be good at every champion, and every champion that's in the meta, you know, you have to be good at. So if for some reason a champion you never play, let's just like for like, you know, argument's sake, like a Viego, all of a sudden skyrockets to the top, like, sorry buddy, you're doing 20-30 games on Viego, you know, because that's just what you have to do, because when you're this good and you're up and playing against you know, other players that are, you know, diamonding up and everything, like, meta matters. You know, this isn't IBSG where you can just, you know, say, hey, I play Veigar bot lane because that's what I'm comfortable on. And they're like, no, you're not. So it's one of those things.
That's why, because we're in a pause, that's why I love IBSG, though, is because you could say things like, yeah, this Malzahar is a triple flex, and, like, be 100% serious about it. In terms of other sentences that I have actually uttered before on a broadcast, so it is quite interesting. But yeah, as you said, the higher elo you go, meta does matter a little bit more. But something that really hasn't necessarily been in the meta is the bot lane of this Seneca Swarm team with the Twitch and the Emilio. But honestly, even though it's not exactly meta, I kind of really see what Seneca Swarm want to do with this. I mean, you could put out a lot of AoE damage on the Twitch really quickly, and he doesn't have a lot of protection outside of the Melio, but I think that would be enough for him, especially with how much instant CC that Phantom Troupe Hisoka can put down with the public execution followed up by the hero's entrance and so on and so forth, and the extra move speed that Egg Whites will give on the Sivir can make that snap engage really easy, and getting this Twitch off of, allowing this Twitch to get away from a few of these threats on side of Phantom Troupe Hisoka to then put out a bunch of damage as they've come in close. I see the vision. I see the vision what they're going for.
Yeah, and I think that, you pair Melio with any late game hyper carry, and that's kind of what Twitch is, right? Like, yes, he can be a menace early on, but he's really, really strong when he gets his third, fourth item. Kind of the same way as Sivir. The only difference is Sivir can't 1v1 him, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they play this. I do think that Melio, he's not going to be able to use his W. He's not going to be able to, give away his partner's position all the time. But, they do have some really cool, crazy plays that they could potentially pull out with this. Silas stealing the Galio ult and then ulting an invisible Twitch behind enemy lines. So I do feel like there is a lot of agency that can be put into this Twitch. It's just going to be a matter of, can he deal with this Karma Sivir where almost everything is a poke? The Ricochet is a poke, the Boomerang's a poke. Karma is nothing but poke, as we see a little bit of that coming out onto the Melio here. So if they can keep this Twitch safe, keep him in line with the Sivir as far as CS, maybe get a kill or two on him, that's going to be a really, really dangerous rat come late game.
It is also really helpful for the side of Phantom Troupe Hisoka, especially in terms of objective control around the first Drake as well, because as you said, there's a lot more ability for Egg Whites to poke out, and there's a lot equally as much ability for him to push these waves in as well alongside Anhedonia. So it should be relatively easy for the side of Phantom Troupe Hisoka to be able to pick up these early Drakes and stack them up. And as you mentioned, even though Twitch can do a lot of damage, he's a late game hyper carry, and it'll take him a little bit to get to that point, and so it'd be a bit more difficult for Seneca Swarm to potentially find these fights in a maybe soul point scenario when we get to those. But again, that is just how we imagine things might go down, as junglers have started on the opposite side, and we see Dwami potentially trying to find a way in to take some camps away from his quarry. You know what?
Yeah. I was gonna say Kurashi or Kurashi, something like that, but yeah, yeah, and I really love what Phantom is doing here.
You were probably right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I really love what Phantom did there early on too. They had steppers, push the wave in mid and then go get a deep ward onto Kurashi's jungle, and then they were tracking him from his blue all the way down. So even though this Sivir Karma lane is gonna have they're going to, whether they like it or not, they're going to push. They're keeping, at least early on, they're keeping that in the forefront of their minds, and they're making sure that they keep that lane safe while it pushes up.
And we'll take a few moments for these objectives to arrive to fully utilize that extra pressure and priority that Phantom Troupe Hisoka has had. It does mean that Kurashi does have to be a little bit more careful in his own jungle and be a little bit more reserved. And as such, slightly behind in terms of farm at this point, a little bit behind there. And anyway, moving on. I don't know. Where was I going with that point? I had somewhere I was going with it, and then you ever get that where you have a thought and an idea, and you just forget what it is? Well, we might want to forget what that is for a moment now, because Kurashi is moving into the mid lane, does have access to the absconded duct. Won't quite hit steppers with it. And instead, you might be in a bit of trouble as Dwami has arrived, and the double taunt from Stepper sets it up perfectly. First blood and second to Phantom Troupe Hisoka.
Yeah, and he almost got baited by his own jungler there. Krusty on that Zed had like an almost perfect play. Galio comes in trying to land a knock-up, followed up by the taunt, and he uses his shadow step to just go onto the other side. But then he's got Silas coming over, and he's like, okay, cool, we can make this play, I can bait him. But then Ambess is there, and they just do a great job of just holding that off and just getting that to the point where it's like, okay, cool, we now have this.
All-Out's going to get committed from I Speak for the Tree. Mr. Lorax trying to cut down Fozzie Bear, but not quite going to get enough damage. A very audacious attempt, and does actually chunk out Fozzie Bear quite a bit. Won't quite find the kill.
Yeah, and I actually really like that for the I Speak for Tree, on the Cassante to, basically stun him up into the wall, but now he's got no ult, and Garen just wants to get a little bit healthier and then try to go for an all-in trade here as we see the team starting to surround him. They want these feats of warfare. They're ready to go for this fight the minute that Cassante gets a little low.
Yeah, and Fozzie Bear does have access to the Demacian Justice should it drop down for a minute. But I speak for the tree. Just rotates back to his own tower, sniffs out the potential gank coming from Dwami, so we'll be fine. Let's wait for a little bit longer for things to continue, but other than a few of those fights coming through, all the while in the bot lane, we touched on it a little bit, and we kind of expected it to be this way, but Egg Whites is farming quite nicely there in the bot lane over a prostate problem.
Yeah, and I think, it's going to take, anybody that's played...
I don't think Krusty wins these. Steppers has the Ninja Tabbies, or the plated steel caps.
Yeah.
And is actually, I think, a really good buy as a first option with all the gold he got from those 2 kills.
Yeah, and we had mentioned that earlier on that, Galio, even though he does like to, obviously he benefits so much from MR, he does have a tendency to be able to use...
Oh, and Krusty in trouble. We'll try to mark out Anhedonia for death, but the hero will get the extra move speed, but the dashing around, the blinking fancy foot from Krusty gets him out, but at the expense of his flash and ult is it's a bit worth for Phantom Troupe Hisoka.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. You're getting all of that out of the Zed, and now you see Karma coming back this way, and they try to make a play on it, but sniffs it out, kind of knows. I think good communication between Egg Whites and Adonia, to be able to say, like, I think that they're there, anytime that there's a Twitch, in the game, you're always thinking that they're going to be there, and then that time it's just there.
His first gank didn't go so well, so he's going to try to make up for it, but the Abduct not going to be hitting the mark onto Anhedonia means that the bot lane of Phantom Troupe Hisoka is fine. It gets the ult out of Egg Whites, but nothing else.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice if he would have just pulled the trigger as soon as he got there. Kureishi was sitting inside that brush. They were ready to go, and then it just seemed like they waited for Anhedonia on this Karma to, like, overstep, but she didn't. You're just kind of like, all right, I'll come up and I'll put the binding on you, but that's about it. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more aggression. You're spending your time down there on this lane. Make it happen. Go for it. You don't really have much to lose.
And all the while, Void Grubs went the way of Phantom Troupe Hisoka, all 3 getting claimed uncontested by Dwami, who is now moving in quite deep to the red side jungle. You might see a potential scrapping there as the hero's entrance is available for Steppers, could arrive at any second. Doesn't look like we're going to be giving up things quite so easily, as Krusty will get caught out by Steppers in the death brush. But before we get to that, Kureishi, potentially the target, the public execution, will set up a nice hero's entrance. The layer of the CC absolutely on point from PTH, and Demacia is called down by Fozzie Bear. The Justice doing as much damage, and there's nowhere to go for I Speak for the Tree. So he's deleted, and 3 kills go away to Phantom Troupe Hisoka, but the response in the bottom lane is 2v2 kill, and Egg White's also on the menus. The invincibility, but all the spell shield, Egg White's response is very good. Oh, the boomerang blade on you. Wow, on edge through that fight. I mean, the call and response from these 2 bot lanes absolutely on point, read each other like a book, and look for a moment that maybe the 2v2 was going the way of Seneca Swarm, but Egg Whites plays that out perfectly and manages to turn it around.
Yeah, and that's got to feel so bad. He played that, prostate problem, also almost played that, like, perfectly himself with the...
Oh, Krusty? He's going to maybe get... Yeah, he's out.
Yeah. As I was saying to Twitch, like waiting until his, as he's getting low, letting the barrier go down, and then, getting his invisibility, his stealth, like right at the exact time that she flashes forward. So it almost looked like that was going to be like an easy kill, but then they just line up for the boomerang blade and just both come down. Egg White's really, really good heads up play. And I really like that, showcasing some really, really fine motor skills there on this Sivir to be able to pull something like that off, and just really, really clean job. And Hisoka is just way ahead in this game so far.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like Fozzie Bear farming away Kureishi's jungle is It's the epitome of how this game has gone. It's not like the only thing. It is a perfect. I don't know what is the word I am looking for. I already said it with epitome. I won't try to expand on that. As the point remains the same, that Phantom Troupe Hisoka are almost 5k gold up at 11 minutes, and that is not necessarily insurmountable, but it's certainly not easy for Seneca Swarm. Oof. Oh, Yayu going to have to flash away from the public execution.
Yeah, I don't even know if they needed to do that. I probably could have just taken that and then just, kicked the soccer ball into him and pushed him into the turret. Not sure if that dive would have went the way that Hisoka would have expected it had that landed. So a little overzealous there in my opinion. But I think that if that did end up landing, that could have been really, really bad for them. And the last thing you want to do is give this bot lane any entrance back into the game. If I'm Hisoka at this point, I'm leaving Prostate and Yayu alone. I'm letting my bot lane just do what they're doing, which is win the 2v2, and then I'm just gonna go keep focusing this Galio and this Garen because they're just absolutely running rampant over their lane opponents right now.
Yeah, it does feel like there's ever since that 2v2 in the mid lane, the counter gank from Phantom Troupe Hisoka that worked out perfectly really early on, that there's really not much Krusty could do in this 1v1. Those ninja tabbies, plated steel caps, pardon, getting so much value in the 1v1. Sometimes
he's about to get collapsed on again too here in the mid lane.
Oh, yeah. Director camera finally points out Krusty will just hop away. Will be all right, so we can move back up to this top lane 1v1. Fozzie Bear does have access to the Demacian Justice, but doesn't quite have the burst to sustain the damage down onto I Speak for Trees. Actually, not doing all too bad considering how this game has gone so far for Seneca Swarm.
No, and I think, in the back of their minds, they have to realize that, hey, we don't have 3 winning lanes. We have what they probably thought was a Cassante into an Ambessa. I think the Garen probably... Of
course, right, as I say that, I Speak for Trees going to have to go all out onto Fozzie Bear and maybe find the burst down onto the Garen, but the Demacian Justice does quite a bit of damage at this point in time. I did not expect to execute from about 1/5 HP, but indeed it did, and so... Yep, yet another kill going the way of Phantom Troupe Hisoka.
Yeah, and another thing to note too is that into Cassante, the judgment, the spinning just takes so much armor away from him. So even though he's got the Iceborne Gauntlet, or he's still just taking so much extra damage, and now he's got the Stride Breaker and 2 daggers, so he's going to be applying so much of that to this Cassante. So. Bot lane looks like they want to fight again.
We might find an all-in 2v2. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. Damage drop down onto Egg Whites, and the Flash Forward and might just find it. The burn does, but the public execution finds way down onto Prostate. Problem with the follow-up. Hero's entrance finds the CC onto Yayu. Taunt drops, and that's 2 kills answered in return. But the very least, there is one bright spot for Seneca Swarm, is that the shutdown goes onto the Twitch.
Yeah, and yes, he gets the shutdown on the Sivir. Yes, the play did sort of work, and they are ahead on the quote-unquote 2v2, but when you have a Galio on the map and you have Ambessa that's coming down there, they had no vision over to see where the Galio was, where the Ambessa was, and so yes, the play should have worked out, but you had to expend way too much to make that worth it. So Seneca Swarm just kind of like a hero play from their ADC, just saying I got this, I'm going to do this. It almost worked out, but you always have to be
try again.
Cognizant.
Horashi is here. Can he land the absconded duct? He does this time. Stepper's flash is in response. Can they find enough damage onto the Galio? He uses the Justice Punches, try to slow things down a little bit, but that may have just caught him out a little bit more. Shutdown going the way of Horashi.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen if they could have gotten that to the Twitch, but I think at this point in the game, you're just happy to get any sort of, advantage that you can, and this is Seneca Swarm's way to kind of claw this way back. The Galio oversteps, stays a little bit too long, and they punish it, and these are the mistakes that can really just turn the tide of a game, is now Fozzie Bear
punish
Twitch the same way.
Yeah, he didn't even have to ult.
Yeah. Yeah, but once you got your Zeal item and your Stride Breaker, it's really, really hard to get away from this Garen.
Yeah, yeah, it just ran straight at him, and I mean, the amount of damage. But focus now needs to go down to Dwami, who's taken quite low. Going to be healed up by Anhedonia, but flashing away from the Adduct of Qureshi. A bit of a slightly favorable play going the way of Seneca's Swarm. We've had a few of those within the last few minutes, and even though they still find themselves down 7k gold, they are fighting back to the best of their ability. But before I get to that, Anhedonia moves straight up to the top lane, going to try to find the snare onto the Cassante, now down to half HP with 3 members arriving from Phantom Troupe Hisoka. The all-out's committed onto Dwami to try to at least trade one back. Won't find the Mark Qureshi in potential trouble. Will use the Demasian Justice very early onto the Garen. And so now the Demasian Justice... Oh, wait! I thought for sure Prostate Problem would have died, but that's another shutdown going way onto Twitch.
Yeah, and I really think that's a very unselfish play made by Kirashi there. Like you had said, like, oh, he uses it really early. It also took a third of his HP away. So I think he knew he was going to die either way. And, basically giving his Twitch the only way into that is for Twitch to stand and fight. There is no sort of kiting you're going to be able to do against a Stride Breaker, Phantom Dancer, Garen. So really, really well done by Seneca Swarm to just, get another shutdown and get more gold put into this Twitch's pocket. He's, a thieving rat, and he's just, stealing these little collection bounties everywhere that he can. And, that's the win con for Seneca Swarm, is to get him back in the game and get him to the point where he's going to be able to just sit back and, spray and pray his way to a victory. And they're doing a really good job. But at the same time, Hisoka is just making so many plays around the map. They're about to get the second dragon. They got the Rift Herald. They got the Grubs. So they're in the driver's seat here, but they do sort of have a little bit of a timer with this Twitch where he's going to be a real problem to deal with.
Speaking of the Twitch, public execution drops square onto Prostate Problem. Oof. And that is one of the things that happens if he gets caught out instantly, deleted off the map. And even though Twitch is their only hope, not looking like it, at least in that one particular instance. This fight isn't over just yet. Crossy going to be knocked up by the hero's entrance, healed up by the Breath of Life. And just a few ultimates traded between Seneca Swarm and Phantom Troupe Hisoka, but no one goes down either way. Of course, why did I say that? I speak for Tree. Oh,
yep.
Demacia.
Yeah, I really think that this Cassante pick was an answer to the Ambessa, and unfortunately, Garen does really good work, especially when given this kind of a lead from his Ambessa in the early ganks, and his ability to just sort of manage the early game, because Cassante really is a pain, first 4 or 5 levels. So really good job by Fozzie Bear to just sort of weather that little initial storm that Cassante, can sort of surprise you with, and then just, get to the point where he's at now, where there's not one person on Seneca Swarm that can deal with him, like, at all.
Oh, Cross is going to try to find it onto Egg Whites, but Mantra E Shield does so much to prevent any sort of damage from dropping. And Hedonia will be the one to pick up that kill, and yeah, I don't think I really need to expand on that.
No, I think just now I think they're just kind of sort of looking in for like maybe some hero plays or something.
Prostate Problem almost certainly killed. But before we get to that, All Out will be committed onto Anhedonia, who's healing and shielding up as much as possible with the mantra. But her team has arrived, and so I speak for Tree. It's a valiant effort to try to pick out the Karma. Won't quite find the mark. Public Execution is going to be dropped onto Yayu. However, the burst isn't quite there for Dwami, but the rest of Phantom Troupe Hisoka has arrived to try to find the rest of the damage, in which they do. Double kill for Dwami.
Yeah, and this is just the case of you guys just let us do whatever we wanted too early on. Hisoka played this comp, especially in the early game, really well, just making plays. They waited out until they had an opportunity to get those first 2 kills in mid, and once they did, and Krusty and Kirishi just overcommitted a little bit, Hisaki has taken advantage of that and then just snowballed this game basically out of control. It's 19-4. You still have an unkilled 700 gold bounty on Ambessa. You have Garen, who is completely shredding the tank for Seneca Swarm. Like, this game feels really out of control, and I think it's going to take a massive throw from the side of Phantom Troop for Seneca Swarm to have a chance to get to a scaling point in this game.
I feel like it'd have to be a bit of a generational throw for Seneca Swarm to be able to come back into this one, because it is a 12k gold advantage at 20 minutes for Phantom Troop Hisoka. And even though there have been a few signs of overconfidence from Phantom Troop Hisoka, they've been they've been mostly okay because of the amount of gold they have, but all out committed by I Speak for Tree. Going to be shielded up by Yayu, all the while Fozbear just going to delete Krusty, and now members of Phantom Troop Hisoka have arrived. And so that's it for I Speak for Tree. Yayu's going to be smited to be slowed, and I don't really think you could get away from this Zambesa at this point in time. Dwami finally gets the kill onto Yayu. Dwami's legendary, and you gotta feel that with the Rift Herald pushing into the base, that'll almost certainly be game one going the way of Phantom Troop Hisoka.
Yeah, they're going to try to get a kill onto the back of this.
Will they get Egg Whites?
No.
Prostate Problem's too far away, and yep, Egg Whites just kites that out. And Prostate Problem going to be executed publicly. Ace for Phantom Troop Hisoka, a bit of an extended one, but finally we're going to see this game one come to a close. Of course,
I don't know who
said
it. Yeah, no,
come on, guys, please.
This one's pretty much over. And whoever had said it in the chat that they don't have damage, I think they maybe took that to heart, because you see the Stridebreaker, Spear Sojin, Phantom Dancer on this Garen. He's doing nothing but just trying to get into the face and just execute somebody. This one just got out of hand, I think, really, really quickly. I think maybe this is, part and partial to Seneca Swarm having two E-subs and not playing together as much, but Hisoka just seemed like a really, really well-oiled machine going up against somebody who's just like kind of just put something together here.
Yeah, not only is it the two E-subs, Krusty is also playing in an off role as well. It's not the ideal conditions for Seneca Swarm in terms of where they've lined up and also in terms of how things are going, because nearly 15k gold down at this point in time, but no inhibitors left. It feels like we're just kind of waiting for the final moment to come, and yeah, I don't know how else to expand on that. We're just waiting for
we're waiting around
for
final push.
We're sitting around like Vladimir and Estragon, I suppose.
I think at this point in the game, you're just kind of like, sitting there thinking, okay, game one, we basically threw this one away. But, sort of with our draft, sort of with everything else, is I Speak for Trees trying to fight Steppers again. I don't think this is going to go as well as he expected.
Probably not. Going to use the Path Maker to stop the CC, but the hardest CC is death, and he is dead. And now Public Execution used in the back line. Hero's Entrance going to find its way onto everybody. And this has been a long time coming, but Phantom Troop Hisoka, after 24 minutes, take game one. And it feels crazy to say that it's a long time coming, considering how quick this game went.
Yeah, definitely. And I really think that maybe Seneca Swarm need to get into their there we are. Get into their draft books and maybe come up with something. I understand that you're on an off roll, but there are a lot of easy sort of to play mid laners that you can pick up and just kind of go with. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of CC maybe from like an Annie or a Syndra, something like that, and still have playmaking ability. I know you're comfortable on the Zed, but this was not the right pick into that, as we saw. Like, he couldn't kill the Galio 1-on-1, 2-on-1, whatever it was. And I really, really liked how Hisoka just responded to every play as it was developing. Before there was a 2v1 in the mid lane, Ambesa's sitting there like in the wings waiting to show up. And it just seems like every time that Seneca wanted to make a play, whether it was their bot lane, mid lane, whatever, Phantom Troop was just kind of there and ready for it, and that's easy to pull off when you have a Galio, when you have, a lot of mobility on your jungler and stuff. So I'll be interested to see what comes out of game two. I think, sometimes games like this can be a detriment to the winner just as much as the loser, because you come into game two with all of this hope and momentum and everything, but then you start playing like you're still ahead. So Phantom Troop just has to also, same thing with Seneca, they need to reset, get their minds right, and get ready for game two now.
Yeah, so we ourselves will get ready for that game too as well. So we'll see you in a few moments with that draft. So don't go anywhere.
Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the Lightbringer.
We are a bit lucky that the break was as short as it was. The players had gotten into draft a bit sooner than expected. So we missed the first round of bans. The missing one is in fact the Mel, but sides stay the same. Seneca Swarm opting to stay on red side. B1 going with Jinx, but the response is the Skarner, who's got some changes recently.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Seneca might try to take a page out of Hisoka's book and just play a lot of frontline, a lot of tankiness, and maybe either some sustained damage or a lot of lockdown. I think with their mid laner being off roll and two E subs, I think one comfort champs and then two easy to engage peel high CC, maybe even a Scion for 4-1, sort of split push going into that meta. But I like the early two picks from them. They do have a Jinx that's going to be really, really hard to deal with if they do a Protect the President kind of comp. So I wouldn't hate seeing a Braum or Thresh or something coming out on the side of Hisoka to just sort of keep that Jinx alive. But they are going to probably want to answer this jungle and top lane, which they start with.
Ooh. Okay, Olaf in the response, I'm going to assume that's probably into the Scion. I don't really see Olaf jungle too much these days, and we get quite a lot of early pressure with Olaf as well. You start Q and you're able to throw your axes quite frequently. You run straight at Scion, and it's a lot, not much you can do, but the Gwen actually might suggest...
I absolutely love this. If this is a Gwen top into the Scion, take a Dark Seal, just kill him over and over again. Send Olaf up there top quickly and just get Fozzie just like extremely ahead, kind of like he was in game one, and just let him take over the game. There's not much a Scion can do, and now we get the Vayne on the bot lane. So from a Twitch to a Vayne in the hands of prostate problem.
I feel like this early Vayne is a bit odd. Because I feel like Vayne, you typically think of like it's more of like if they are pretty immobile and have a lot of health that you can burn through pretty quickly with the percent max health true damage on their silver bolts. But this early into the likes of Olaf and Gwyn, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. This is another like Twitch takes time to develop. Vayne takes time to develop. So it sort of seems like their bot lane, they're going to kind of be putting their same eggs in that basket of, we need to survive and then we need to be able to win the 2v2. But, we saw on the side of Hisoka playing a Sivir Karma last game, like they were able to withstand the Twitch and then even turn it on to the bot lane. So I don't know if the Vayne is going to like be able to take over depending on what they pair with her. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Tom Kench or like I was saying earlier, like a Thresh, something like kind of in the same vein of
Oh,
what I was speaking of earlier with Hisoka is, give it something that's going to give them a ton of safety net, a ton of ability to maybe catch and get some kills. But yeah, Vayne here into an Olaf and a Gwen. Ugh, that doesn't feel great to me.
By the way, Seneca Swarm banning out the support pool of Hisoka. Meanwhile, Hisoka getting rid of a few of those assassins in the mid lane for Seneca Swarm. He saw the Zed and taking away a few of the champions in a similar sort of style, even though it's more AP coming through. Now, Seneca Swarm, you said you were wanting to see something to help protect the Vayne coming through. Renata is one of those champions somewhat.
Kind of, but into an Olaf and a Gwen where she can be immune to your ult
Yeah.
and he can just be immune to your
Ragnarok.
ult. Yeah, I don't know if I love that. I think, I think Handshake is sort of like underestimated in how like strong it can be. But you're going into a Seraphine, potentially Seraphine Jinx here, which I absolutely love this Seraphine pick here. Olaf and Gwen getting into the front. She may be immune to things outside of her little wall there, but not your teammates. So Seraphine will be able to use the Gwen or the Olaf in the front line to be able to just extend the Encore and just kind of keep things going. So I really, really do love this pick. I think it adds a lot of safety for Jinx and a lot of damage and just crowd control, everything that the Jinx is going to need. And at the same time, Olaf and Gwen are going to be their own monsters in their own right, as we see the Mordekaiser coming out as well.
Oh.
Hisoka's comp, man. I absolutely love
Wait.
their draft style because this is interesting.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, more than likely. I wouldn't hate to see. I wouldn't hate to see a top laner come out here from Seneca Swarm and send the Scion mid, thinking that you're not going to be able to deal with the Olaf or the Gwen very well, but they are going to pick the Victor for Krusty. I like that champ a lot better than the Zed, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do as much here. Mordekaiser can just pull him into the Death Realm, and then he won't be able to ult the entire team. Hisoka just seemed like they have a really, really good comp as an answer. And even though they were blue side, they seem like they have the picks that were answers to everything that Seneca wanted. The only thing is, if this is a Mordekaiser mid, that's going to be a pain against the Victor.
That is what
after a
production is
couple
saying.
items, after a couple of items, Mordekaiser will be just fine into that. So I think Seneca Swarm have a really, really high hill to climb up to be able to win game 2 and keep themselves in this series. I just think Hisoka's draft is so much better, especially with the way that they were playing in game 1.
Yeah, and it's oh wait, hold on, we still live or are the mics still hot?
Okay. Yep.
Oh, there we are. Okay, let's just make sure.
Product placement.
Pro guides. Apparently, I think that's what was that it? Was that I was too quick. Was it pro? Dude, I don't even know. Pro comps.
Pro comps.
There we go. Anyway, well, I don't know how we weren't given an ad read to give for them specifically, but if we're being completely honest, the Seneca Swarm draft, you're right. Anyway though, I am curious about the Mordekaiser mid because even though you said as things go on it should probably be okay, I feel like into a Victor it might take a bit of time for that being okay to actually get to be okay anyway. But that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think the reason that I like it so much is just once you get your allies on there, everybody else with the exception of the Victor is going to be in the danger zone, right? Like they're going to be able to get on top of somebody, pull him out of the ult, or pull him into the death realm, with the ult, and they're going to be able to kind of just run rampant on one of the members. And if Hisoka plays this the way that they played last game, and they send that Olaf or the Gwen, whichever it is, I think we heard that it's going to be a Gwen top into the Scion, which I love. Get a Dark Seal and just kill him over and over again, and,
It is a
and you
classic.
win. The Olaf is going to be able to stick on to the Victor too if the Victor oversteps. So we did see Krusty playing out of his normal role, which is jungle. So he may have a tendency to just not play that lane as well as it could be into somebody that is a bona fide mid laner. So I do like the Mordekaiser pick. It's gonna suck in lane, but you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for your team. And I think late game he's gonna be able to take that Vayne out. He's gonna be able to take the jungle out. He's gonna be able to do something where it's going to give his team a huge advantage in the long run.
So a thing to note is that this is actually the first season that of Blue Water Diamond League that lane swaps are technically going to be allowed in terms of how they're coming through it. I'm curious because with Scion being in, I'm not necessarily immediately so big into the Vayne into the Gwen potentially. But what are the chances you think that Seneca Swarm opt into that lane swap?
I don't know. I think that just from watching game one, I mean anything's possible, but I just feel like their team synergy was not there. I don't know if putting a Vayne top into the Gwen is going to be like that great of an idea. And plus, are they going to be able to play off of that properly? Now, when you do that, you're going to be giving the dragons over to Hisoka, who we saw had great objective control. And then you're also going to have, your Mordecai, your Victor in the mid lane able to basically go either way. But if you're putting your weak side into the bottom, I think that's going to kind of be counterintuitive to what you kind of want to do. What you want to do is you want to stop Hisoka from being able to get all of the free dragons and be able to get the grubs and stuff like that. So I don't know. Potentially maybe, but I would hate to see that. I think that having him scrap it out with the Jinx and the Seraphine and maybe try to get themselves a lead that way would be my preference there.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what goes down. Mordekaiser mid is another one of those really odd picks that Phantom Troupe Hisoka have given us here for game 2. So we have that to look forward to and more coming up after the short spectator delay. Don't go anywhere. are back and ready to go for game 2 between Phantom Troupe, Hisoka, and Seneca Swarm. Seneca Swarm looking to bounce back after what was a particularly rough game 1.
Yeah, that did not go their way at all. But like I had said in the post game, that's an opportunity for them to sort of catch Hisoka maybe off guard. Like sometimes when you win really hard the next game, you're just like, oh, let's do it again, let's do it again. But you're on completely different champs against a completely different comp, and and it's 0-0. So they have to make sure that they don't play like they're still ahead, and they still make sound, smart plays around the map like they did in game 1. And Seneca Swarm just needs to not make dumb mistakes and have a little bit better awareness of where Dwami is, because Dwami was all over the map in game 1 and was able to basically just turn around everything that Seneca wanted to do.
Yeah, and similarly to game 1, Phantom Troupe Hisoka have opted for one really odd pick. This time around, it is that Mordekaiser mid for steppers. Something that we don't really see every day. And I'm interested to see how he manages to play this one out, because the amount of range that Crossy will have on the Victor early on could spell trouble for his Mordekaiser.
Yeah, you have to, he at least has to remember that he played against a Zed game 1, which does have a decent amount of poke with the Shadow Step and Shurikens, but nothing like a Victor. So he's not going to be able to just step up like he was in game 1 and be able to, get away with some of the stuff that he was doing into a Zed. Mordekaiser is still going to be pretty tanky just innately, but once again, Hisoka just doing, I guess that's like their standard thing now, is they just wait for 230 and they go and they ward the jungle side to track this Skarner. So I really love their jungle placements that they're doing to basically just kind of control the vision of the map and keep their bot lane, which seems to just want to keep pushing, extremely safe in that instance.
Yeah, anytime this Skarner wants to head out towards the bottom half of the jungle, he will be spotted through those jungle entries, or I guess in his case would be exits into the river. But I speak for trees. Find a way onto Fozzie Bear. Not quite going to hit the decimating smash, and now Fozzie Bear. This is the Gwyn v Sion matchup in a nutshell. You stack up snip snip, and hold on, Yayu could be in trouble. Yayu goes down. Whoa! A completely uncc'd mark on the Flame Chompers finds its way onto the support of Seneca Swarm, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, and I think that, that's the danger of going into a Seraphine Jinx and then getting caught up. Like if Seraphine has, the enhanced E, she's going to be able to root you, and then Egg White's being able to drop those Chompers right down and just get that perfectly executed. And Seraphine's one of those supports that if you end up getting a bunch of the kills, that's not necessarily as bad as when you're the Maokai or, Emilio or something like that. Like, she can do a ton of damage late game.
Little bit of a... Nah, they're fine. They're not going to do anything. Yeah. Skarner doesn't have the damage, and Cross is a bit too far away without mana, but Steppers is very low, pulled back the Victor. As I said, no mana for Crossy, so we can't really do too much, but I do like the first strike for Crossin, how much he should be able to proc it. As soon as he gets his recall, could have quite a bit of gold.
Yeah, and I think, once he gets a mana item, we see he has the 2 biscuits in his pocket. He didn't even have to use those before his first back. I think that once he gets a little bit of mana, he's going to be really easy to just sit there and poke and poke and poke, and like you said, just get kind of rich just off of these... off of the first strike itself, as Fozzie is just giving I Speak for Trees the business once again.
Yep, that is I mean, Gwyn has fallen a little bit out of favor recently, but the Gwyn v Sion matchup it's still the Gwyn v Sion matchup. And you just land one snip and it's perfectly fine. Does have access to the needlework now. Going to use it down onto Qureshi to find the slows. The amount of damage onto a level 4 Skarner. Can't quite find the execute, but still a gank that goes wrong for Seneca Swarm.
I honestly thought that the minions were going to kill him. He had like 6 caster minion shots coming his way. So he must have escaped that with like 2 maybe 3 health, if that. So really, really lucky, unfortunate timing for Seneca Swarm for Fozzie Bear to hit level 6 and get his ult, but that's also something that they should be taking into account and sort of knowing as we see Dwami Mami is kind of hovering up around this midline. They want to get steppers ahead here, and we might see a death roam into
They do
a
have
gank
options
here.
to do it. The gravity well
There it
is
is.
used. The flash over the wall from Krusty means that he is a bit of trouble as he's now in Brazil with nowhere to go. Will come out, and Hedonia picks that kill up. But there was just nothing Krusty could do.
Yeah, and that's such a good play by them. I really love Hisoka just basically calling that out, and you could see it coming from a mile away, right? Like, you know that he's going to death realm him, and then they're just going to hover around that. Yeah, you may not get the kill, but you blew the flash. He has no teleport because he just used it, and then they're able to just sit there right outside of the death realm and just wait for that to be over. So really, really well done by the side of Hisoka to just make a nice easy 3-man play, and that's what we were talking about earlier on in the draft of them being able to do with steppers on this Mordekaiser.
Speaking of steppers on the Mordekaiser, we'll have access to a pretty big shield on his WV Ops Fort, but won't use it in time before the CC drops from the unstoppable onslaught. I speak for the tree, gets his kill.
Yeah, and that's just really, really heads up play by I Speak for Tree. That might be one of the things that really like sort of gets them into the game. That might be a momentum shift or, anything that you can do. And getting a solo kill on the Mordekaiser when all he wanted to do was back. Now, he took a really, really greedy back, and these are kind of some of the things that you potentially can have happen to you when you think that you're still playing from ahead, like I kind of mentioned earlier on. His prostate problem does get the...
Nice.
Nice little handshake coming out from Yayu, but they need to be careful because Egg White's 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have access to the Super Mega Death Rod. But I mean, I feel like level 6, at least in terms of these 2v2s, Prostate Problem still yet to use the final hour. Could potential zap hitting the mark, but I Speak for the Tree is here in the bottom lane. They're just trying to wait for the arrival of I Speak for Tree. Doesn't have access to the unstoppable onslaught though, so this game might not exactly be the best, but Anhedonia and Egg Whites don't really know that I Speak for Tree is here. The slow drops the flash away from Anhedonia, gets him away, but the Encore finds one to multiple members. The heal from Egg Whites keeps him alive. Prostate Problem getting very low. A good body block from I Speak for Tree ensures that the Vayne doesn't get killed.
Yeah, but unfortunately for this, Gwen is just free farming in the top lane. She's now proxying past the tier 1 turret. Dwami Poppy actually gets the dragon while that's going, or the grubs while that's going. So Gwen is going to be just melting these towers even more than she normally does. So good look, and walked right over a ward with the sweeper on, so they didn't see him coming. But now you have a low health bot lane going up against this Mordekaiser and Olaf that are just ready to fight. So this could be bad, but it does look like Hisoka smartly is going to just kind of give this away as their bot lane is low as well.
Yeah, there was not really a position for Phantom Troupe Hisoka to really move into that one. And Hedonia doesn't exactly want to lead the charge on the Seraph team, but it's a good decimating smash from I Speak for Tree. He's got Fozzie Bear quite low. He's not giving up on this 1v1, and now Needlework will be used. And the damage from Fozzie Bear is quite high when you can really easily land the snips. And so I Speak for Tree, you're going to have to use the Unstoppable Onslaught to shout cowards and run away.
Yeah, and I think also Fozzie Bear actually kind of stepped up just a little bit, dashed in, and his immune bubble actually didn't save him there, so that could have been a little bit of an overstep. But Sion with his 2 roams, even though he got a kill, is way down in CS right now and hasn't had a chance to buy back just yet. So he gets it now, still doesn't have the Sunfire Cape completed, and just a little bit more controlled from Seneca, which I really, really like, but I'm interested to see if those 3 plates that Fozzie got off of the top lane are going to basically, kind of just neuter this Sion to the point where he's not going to be able to deal with her.
Yeah, and Fozzie Bear now with the Gnasher's Tooth as well will be stacking up the snip even faster, and it will be much easier for Fozzie Bear to really cut through I Speak for Tree, turn him into I guess, paper, as it were. Oh, I guess he speaks for the trees. He's the Lorax. He's not actually the tree. So, I mean, what would Lorax be turned into? Either way, I speak for tree, getting cut down really fast. But Qureshi has arrived. I don't think the Skarner really wants this, though. That's the solo kill for Fozzie Bear. And Qureshi just kind of says hi. And, yeah.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. I think that there was a little bit of miscommunication there. Qureshi was just a tad behind, and I think that I Speak probably wanted him to flash ult or something in there to just get on top of this Gwen, but yeah, just couldn't make it happen there, unfortunately.
Oh, hostile takeover used from Yayu. Either way, oh, hold on, Fozzie is slowed up. Perhaps I Speak for Tree can turn this one back around, but the needlework is still available for Fozzie, and he just does so much damage. It doesn't matter that Fozzie Bear's half HP. It just cuts straight through I Speak for Tree.
Yeah, doing a really good job of keeping herself.
Qureshi, going to be hit by the Encore, pulled back. There's nowhere for this Scorpion to go. Steppers flashes to follow, and another kill goes away for Phantom Troupe Hisoka, and even though it's a little bit slower than last time around, 3k gold lead to Phantom Troupe Hisoka at 12 minutes, and with how these last few fights have gone, Stepper's going to send Crossy to the Death Realm, stunned up by the Gravity Well, but does more than enough damage onto Crossy, and jeez, oh, hold on, Prostate Problem going to proc the final hour, flashing over the Flame Chopper's stretch to get the solo kill onto hand. Hedonia shut down, well, not a solo kill, but either way, 2v2 kill to Prostate Problem is still going forward. Double kill for Prostate Problem with the heal and the barrier, keeping it alive, but Dwami Poppy has arrived, will land the axe from downtown, gets the kill onto the Vayne, so they at least get something back. And once again, like last time around, despite how things have been going for Phantom Troupe Hisoka, Vayne picks up a pretty big shutdown.
Yeah, and like the three of these, Steppers, Anidonia, and Dwami Poppy, seem like they are all in sync. They seem like they're all just kind of going at the same time, in the same direction. They're always together. We saw the early gank for the first blood when Steppers, pulls Krusty into the death.
Krusty's pulled under tower. The tower shot gets the solo kill. The heal arrives from Anidonia to make sure that the Victor ult doesn't slowly tick down Steppers. And, yeah, just a bit of an overstep from Krusty.
Yeah, I think he had the right idea to try to get in there, get a little bit of poke, and then drop the ult for the kill. But as you said, he just gets pulled forward a little bit there. And unfortunately for him, pays the price for it. As I Speak for Tree's going to get run down by Fozzie Bear.
Was used. Will dodge out the needlework, and he will get a shield. Will it be enough to keep I Speak for Tree alive? No, it does not, but he gets to the zombie form, and Fozzie Bear is slowed. 1 auto attack, 2 auto attacks, and can't quite get enough. And
with this passive down, I'd like to see an ult. There it is.
Ooh, the Impale finds the target, and the burn plus the tower shots find its way onto Steppers, is able to get a kill back for Seneca Swarm.
Yeah, and I really like that. I was hoping that once Mordekaiser's passive, started doing its thing and activating, I was like, just ult him and just pull him into the tower. You may die, but you're going to get a shutdown or, at least a kill back, and then give your mid laner some breathing room, because even though he's on Victor, it feels like Krusty's just never in a position to just succeed on this Victor and do what he's supposed to be doing. Yayu unfortunately doesn't get that ward. But yeah, the Mordekaiser pick is paying some dividends, but we do see what that can actually do to him when pulled under by the Skarner. So he's just going to have to be a little bit more careful. As
Yayu is going to walk into the fraying Trompers. We saw that once before, but a little bit too far away from Dwami Poppy to arrive and follow up on that. I don't even know if he would have necessarily wanted to, with 2 extra members of Seneca Swarm arriving, those being Krusty and Qureshi. For this Drake that has spawned up, and despite the deficit that Seneca Swarm is at, if they could get this Drake that they have moved towards, perhaps they could use the pressure of the soul points to try to force Phantom Troupe Hisoka to move around the map in the ways that they don't necessarily want to.
Yeah, and I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm just dumb. That could be a very, very big possibility. But I Speak for Trees opting for the Sunfire Cape instead of the Hollow Radiance.
Oh,
Just seems to me like would have
yeah.
been better to get some MR. I know they have an Olaf and a Jinx, but you're not fighting Olaf and Jinx for the majority of this matchup. You're fighting Gwen and you're fighting Mordekaiser when you're roaming down. Oh, Steppers almost gets trees there, but won't be enough. Uh, Close, but it's not horseshoes or hand grenades, so not going to account for much here.
Yep, and but what it will count for with all the members of Seneca Swarm on the bottom half of the map is that Phantom Troupe Hisoka can clear out the whole top side, get that top lane tier 2. And tier 2 towers give so much gold these days. Clear out the jungle and now try to find the way onto Krusty, who's slowed up, will probably eventually go down, doesn't even have to commit the Death Realm. Dwami Poppy picks up that kill, but the handshake finds Wenza Egg Whites. No follow-up, though.
No, it just yeah, and I mean one thing that can be said is this Vayne when it's just 2v2. This Vayne and Renata is working into the Seraphine Jinx. The problem is that it is not going to be just those two for very long. I think we're reaching the point where the team fights are going to start to happen.
Steppers is going to send I Speak for Tree to the Death Realm to make this a 1v1, but if he can't burn down the tree fast enough, Qureshi going to arrive, stun him up. He will eventually find the kill, though, with the passive. Does have access to potentially shield up. Impale finds the mark. Can he bring him under the tower? Actually, he just saves it for I Speak for Tree in the zombie form. And we'll trade that back with a flash encore forward. Doesn't quite hit the mark.
No, dude, Jinx unfortunately wasn't far up.
Fozzie Bear going to dash forward. Snip, Snip does so much damage. Nothing Crossy can do as soon as Fozzie Bear got on top of him. And that's a solo bolo again for Fozzie Bear.
Yeah, Fozzie, I mean, in these two games has just done so much work, for himself with the team, and now.
Yep, a flash forward Ragnarok. That's the reason why we didn't really like the Renata. Isn't affected at all by the hostile takeover with the ultimate, but Prosty Problem going to use the final hour. Can't quite find the final auto attack he needs to get the kill onto Anhedonia, but he is healing up enough with the Bork to be able to turn that 1v2 into a kill for himself. But all the while, Fozzie Bear gets yet another solo kill in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is a greedy build, but I absolutely love it. A Rabadon right after the Gnasher's Tooth. Fozzie is just 1v1ing anybody that comes near him. I even think that Vayne is going to get chased down and killed if she shows up there. So Fozzie Bear putting in a lot of work in this game, just as he did on the Garen in game 1. He really, really likes these champions, just like to get in your face and just fight. And he's making them pay when they have like even just the smallest missteps. Like Crosby was not expecting that tower to fall so quickly, but Gwen just shreds these towers, especially with the 3 grubs. Seneca Swarm, once again, way on their back foot, and this game is about to be blown wide open.
I would say it's a little bit more than just about to be, as Phantom Troupe Hisoka are 7k gold up at 19 minutes. It's not as one-sided as it was in game 1, but still very much going the way of Phantom Troupe Hisoka. Especially because of Fozzie Bear sitting 4-0 on the squid, now at 3 items. I believe he got 4 plates to himself as well, 2 solo tier 2 towers. That's 1,400 gold between those 2 alone. He's managed to really accelerate his income in these side lanes and is doing it. Stepper's looking to do the same by trying to find Cross. He does flash away from the Obliterate. Can he get away fast enough? Going to be slowed by the passive from Steppers and will finally get the victor. But now support has arrived. It is traded back, but all the while in the mid lane, Qureshi, not very tanky right now.
Yeah, no, and this was the same thing that happened in game 1. Every time that Prostate Problem was making a play and getting some sort of lead back or clawing back against Hisoka, a play was made somewhere else. And so you trade the top laner, or the mid laner, I'm sorry, Mordekaiser. You trade the mid laner for a tier 2 mid, and another kill onto your jungler, and Krusty died. So, that's essentially, all in all, a Otacon tier 2 turret, and a 2-for-1 on the favor of Hisoka in the long play. And so just not enough. I mean, this Vayne is a hell of a win con, but they're going to have to really, really make this thing work and put all of their eggs in the Prostate's basket just have a chance to come back into this, but they're getting collapsed on here pretty quickly.
Yeah, Ragnarok going to be popped, and Yayu is the target. The Encore finds way onto both the Vayne and the Renata, but it's a really good Scion ult finds way onto Steppers. Can Prostate Problem get a second? Yes, he does. So the collapse from Phantom Troupe Hisoka doesn't quite work out. Yet all the while, take a look at what Fozzie Bear's doing. All the while, look at him in. Look, the teleport back, it won't matter because Fozzie Bear is so huge. He's going to take the tower. Watch, I Speak for Trees just dead here, surely. I mean,
I think
guess
he's actually going to
Bear...
go for the objective first, and then he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, still, the point still stands. Surely, right? I Speak for Tree. Is he? Well, Fozzie Bear's more interested in farming, and it does mean that another Drake goes the way of Seneca Swarm, and they are actually on soul points. So, they can potentially maybe try to force a move out of Phantom Troupe Hisoka in a way that they don't want for the next Drake. But it's still very much in control for Phantom Troupe Hisoka.
Yeah, it is. The only thing that we can say now is that is a 611 Vayne, 197 CS. So she actually caught back up to the Jinx on the CS there. So this is a very strong Vayne. And as we saw, melts the Mordekaiser, melts the Olaf. And I really, really like Yayu on this Renata, basically saving the Vayne instead of herself. Really, really unselfish play there. So if they can keep this up and they can keep Prostate just alive and with their Nexus still up, there is a chance that Prostate on this Vayne, with the way that they've been playing, can come back into this game. But it is a tall task, and I'm pulling for it because I want to see a game 3 out of these two. I want to see a game 3 draft from Hisoka, honestly.
And speaking of Prostate Problem, coming into this one, it's even doubly impressive is if the information we were received is correct, that he is actually playing with a broken finger. On one hand, yeah, I mean, it is still really impressive, but then there's also probably going to be a few of the trackers being like, see, I knew it, ADC is easy.
Yeah, especially on a champion that requires so much clicking, you know, whether it's your left or your right hand, you need your WASDs and you need your mouse hand to be at full when you're playing a champion like this. Maybe the only other one that's probably more micro intensive might be Zeri. But yeah, this is actually really impressive, and even not knowing that, how well they've been playing on this Vayne is impressive. So Seneca, not dead yet, but 100%
not dead yet. Not by any means. Hold on, quick math. They're 6.5K down. But I feel like we said that a few minutes ago, and things have been kind of calmed down a little bit. And even though Phantom Troupe Hisoka certainly feeling all right with the way things are going, they're not nearly as dominant as they were in game 1, as actually we are hitting that 24-minute mark, which was when that game 1 ended. It's still not ideal because Fozzie Bear does this. Watch. Yeah, I think Retreat has to flash away, and the Needlework has a really short cooldown, so yep.
Yeah, and now with the Zonias on top of, you know, already being immune to anything outside her bubble, like this is going to be really, really hard Gwen to deal with. They're going to have to wait that cooldown out. And at the same time, they're going to have to worry about Mordekaiser taking this Vayne into the Death Realm. Even though I think that Prostate would probably 1v1 him in there, that is all of your gold. That is all of your money. That's all of your damage and your scrapping and your team fighting, all basically poured into one champ at this point. So it's going to be interesting when we finally get a 5v5, if we get a 5v5, to see how it shakes out, because there's a lot of variables in play for Hisoka, and there's only really one for the side of Seneca Swarm.
Kureishi isn't very tanky on this Skarner just yet. Now Yayu has to flash away from Steppers, won't get pulled back, and actually they're all right for now. They're just kind of look at each other and back away. And once again, back to our regularly scheduled programming of Fozzie Bear in the side lane doing doing Fozzie Bear things in the side lane.
Right, and that's a Ghost for a flash. The Ghost is going to be on like almost a 1/3 cooldown from the flash, so Krosty's going to have to be very, very careful not to get caught out by the Mordekaiser, not to get caught out by a Seraphine ult, because if they do, the Renata is going to have to save Prostate, right? Like, no matter what's going on.
Oh, wait, the Unstoppable Onslaught will get 2 flashes out, but now I Speak for Trees in quite far behind. The Encore finds its way only onto the Renata, and so Prostate Problem, he's in the middle of everything. The final hour is used. Stepper's the target, gets the kill onto the Mordekaisers. Can he stay alive? Flash away. The barriers does keep him alive, and that will be the trade of kills. Dwami Poppy getting claimed by the Mordekaiser, but now that Prostate Problem is too low, you gotta feel that Seneca Swarm have to retreat. That is all their damage no longer available to them. I Speak for Tree will certainly be the sacrificial lamb, or I guess undead giant tank zombie getting picked up by Fozzie Bear once again. But still, Phantom Troupe Hisoka, despite how far they are ahead and winning that fight, have yet to really find a really big decisive one.
Yeah, it's a 3 for 2, and they played it just kind of like how I said, where Mordekaiser basically sacrifices himself. He ults Prostate and then has to flash away, and then Prostate, Fancy Feet getting away. They are going to stem this Dragon Soul. The Cloud Soul is going to be huge. If it gets onto Prostate Problem, they're going to be so fast with that ultimate and the passive. So really good job by Hisoka to just sort of take that play. And even though it didn't go exactly how they wanted it to, or the result that they would have loved the most, still get an objective after a 3 for 2 fight, still in the driver's seat. But one thing is that Prostate's going to keep scaling, and Vayne does a really, really good job, especially when she's on 5 items, plus the boots. She's going to be a menace to deal with. And Scion, we already see that his passive procced at his 4,600 health, so he's going to keep growing as well. So there is a bit of a scaling timer. It may not be like as big or as bad as like if there was a Veigar on the match, on the Rift, but they are still going to have to kind of deal with this and be wary that they are going to have to close this game out eventually, or this could be really, really bad for the side of Hisoka.
On the very least for Hisoka, there's no flash, no barrier on this Vayne, which is how Prostate Problem survived that last fight. So they will opt to go in. Qureshi, the target, will have to use the Ishtal Impact to get away. Needlework getting used. Trying to slow up Qureshi, trying to slowly burn him down, and the Ragnarok prevents CC, and as well from the hostile takeover, just runs forward. Can't quite find much else for it though. So no Ragnarok available to the side of Phantom Troupe. Hisoka Steppers now going to claim the inhibitor, and everyone from Seneca Swarm has moved down to be able to try to catch Steppers, but that just means Baron's taking over for free.
Oh, and he almost got the kill on the crossbow there. So yeah, so an inhibitor and a Baron for a 1 death. Not too bad. They had already killed Qureshi. He sort of like stayed a little bit too long in a warded brush, and they were finally able to catch him. So a little bit bad of a micro play from him, but the macro side of it, Hisoka just take another objective and another objective, and even though they're not getting these like 4-1s that they were getting in the last one, or just completely dominating these team fights, they are still cleaning up resources around the map, and they put a stay of execution on this Dragon Soul, and if they keep playing like this, the rest of these dragons are probably going to be theirs, unless they take a bad fight, which they haven't really done just yet.
Their gold lead has grown to about 8K, and it is a significant one that they've used to, as you mentioned, prevent the Dragon Soul, the Cloud Soul, going the way of Seneca Swarm. Would have been a potentially big one. Prostate Problem going to be able to use that move speed to full effect. One that Seneca Swarm would absolutely love to get. And so the Baron, though it will expire before the next Drake spawns, they will offer them the ability to be able to further push up that vision line and make things completely dark for Seneca Swarm, and they might just get a little bit more out of this one. I Speak for Tree. It's actually pretty tanky at this point in time, though, except unless if it's Fozzie Bear landing in the middle of the snip, doesn't really take all that much damage now.
No, and we have the Jack Show being completed on this Vayne as well, so that's going to be really hard for them to sort of deal with. And now that we're getting into the problem of the sieging, you have 3 melee champs, a Seraphine and a Jinx. It's going to be very hard for them to sort of break through this. They're going to have to get a pick, or they're just going to have to overload a turret here, which looks like what they're doing now over in the mid lane, as one of the champions has to, or one of the players has to.
Oh, unstoppable onslaught, not quite going to find anyone. Yeah, you're going to get hit out by steppers, but the point is, prostate problem is left alone, is in the final hour, is doing a bunch of damage, but it's not quite enough as he's now getting run down. Not quite. Actually, the extra burst does the end there. It does get the kill onto the vein, and it is a clean, not so clean ace for the side of Phantom Troupe Hisoka, but Egg Whites is still alive. He has enough damage to burst through the towers. And that'll be game, set, and match to Phantom Troupe Hisoka.
Yeah, and I really would have liked to seen Yahoo use the shield on the vein there, because she gets the kill and could have had the reset on the shield timer and be able to stay alive, and then after killing the Olaf would have been able to just keep them at bay for a little bit longer. But yeah, this one just, once again, Hisoka not as dominant as they were in game one, as we see the timer was just a little bit longer, but clean macro play. Anadolia, Steppers, and Dwami basically roaming around early in the game and in the mid game and late game. Those three were like always together. So really, really nice to see just like polished shot calling and playmaking from those three.
Yeah, from those three, but as well, I mean, I'd take an eyes gander down to Fozzie Bear and look to the right side of the stat screen, and 41k damage, or almost, essentially 41k damage.
Plus objective damage has got to be insane.
It was very much for a large portion of that Fozzie Bear running things, running Seneca Swarm ragged until the rest of the team could catch up. And very slow, calculated performance from Phantom Troupe Hisoka, but they do finally find the fights that they needed, and not much else to add other than that from my end.
Yeah, and now they're 1-3 instead of 0-4, and Seneca's gonna have to do some soul searching and try to claw their way back into the season. Maybe they get themselves into playoff contention, and Hisoka's gonna have to take this and run with it. They're gonna have to be like, okay, get back into the VOD reviews, see where they messed up in these games and where they kind of almost let Seneca back in, and then just polish up a couple things. But I really like their map play, their macro play was pretty solid for the most part. They did sort of give up the dragon on this one, but I think it was worth it because Fed Gwen with 3 grubs just shows you what she could do, and just took, I think, 5-6 towers all by herself. And really clean game from the side of Troupe Hisoka, and congrats to them on finally getting their first series win.
Yeah, so it's a good moment for Phantom Troupe Hisoka to get their first win as we start to enter the business half of this Blue Water Diamond League season. To wait and see how these two teams can pull the rest of their season together. If Seneca Swarm can scale up as they were saying they were hoping to, or if Phantom Troupe Hisoka can take the win here and really use that to push the rest of their season and try to make those final few playoff spots. But other than that, that will be it here for us. I've been Isaac. Alongside me has been Fel. Loki's been working things behind the scenes to bring us this matchup to you. And so from everyone at Blue Water League, thank you for being here and have a good night.
Long have we sought to ascend. do what we love. Risk the fall, we have